Welcome to SortaOkay Reviews, where today we're doing a little bit of a retro review.
Today we are going to start the road to Infinity War. We're going to review all the movies of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So the first one, as you can see, is Iron Man.
Yes, we're ready to relive that magic that's going to lead us up into Infinity War. We could not be more excited, and we're going to talk about Iron Man today, the one that started it off.
So yep, again, Iron Man is the movie that started it off. So what were your expectations? Do you remember when you first saw Iron Man? It was 10 years ago.
So I remember seeing that they were going to make an Iron Man and Thor movie in a newspaper. And me, I was a little kid. I was just starting to read into some comic books, read into stories. But I really wasn't super into it. I didn't know too much about what they might be doing and stuff like that. I was just excited. Superhero movie was coming out.
Yeah, I didn't even know that Iron Man had come out when it first did. It took me... the first time I saw it was on DVD because I didn't go to the theater to see the first Iron Man, so I didn't really know what to expect going into it. But going back and watching this now, after we know everything that's happened in the MCU, it's pretty good.
It's pretty special, yeah. I mean, back then, as kids, there was a lot of bad comic book movies, but I didn't care about the casting and what it was leading up to. I just wanted to see superheroes fight and superheroes be on screen. But now looking back at this, I'm just like, wow, they nailed it. This was something special. It was truly amazing.
So you want to start with going over the movie? Let's talk about what happens in the movie.
Yeah. So you have Tony Stark, billionaire, playboy, philanthropist. Take that suit away. What is he? Now this is before he became Iron Man. He's gambling. He's having sex with women. He's blowing away money. He's acting a fool. He's not really caring. Making a lot of money. And but then when something happens and he figures out that his weapons are being used to kill people instead of protect them, he gets a little bit of a change of heart. And
Tony Stark, he goes and he gets captured. He's captured by this terrorist group called the Ten Rings, which, as we know now, is actually an Easter egg because the Ten Rings is a reference to Mandarin.
To the Mandarin.
Which I didn't notice the first couple times I watched, but, some things you pick up when you watch it again. So, yeah, Tony Stark was captured by this terrorist group, and he meets a doctor there, Yinsen.
Dr. Yinsen, yep.
Yeah, and then Dr. Yinsen tells him that he has shrapnel that is going to go to his heart and will kill him without this electromagnet that he put inside his body. So the terrorists want... Tony Stark to build a Jericho missile.
Yep, they're wanting that Jericho missile. That thing is powerful. That thing is destructive. And Tony Stark, he's not for it. And with the help of Jensen, they build the first mark of the Iron Man suit. And this beginning scene is really terrific. I mean, they're in a cave, and while he has a lot of high tech weapons and stuff that they stole, it's like, how are they gonna to picture this from the comic to the movie? And they do it so amazing. When the scene when he's just hammering the metal, it's just like, it brings
you hyped.
It brings you reminiscence of the comic books, and just it added powerful with Jensen there. It's like you feel for him. You want them to succeed.
Yeah, you want them to escape. So, yeah, as you said, they build the Mark 1 and they make their escape. But unfortunately, Jensen dies along the way. And that was kind of the first, major death in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yep, and at this point too, it also shows you this movie's not totally afraid to take some chances. It shows you that it has heart, and it's going somewhere. That that the characters are gonna be pretty good in this movie.
So again, Tony escapes. He meets Rhodey. Rhodey saves him. They do a press conference. Tony Stark says he's not going to build weapons anymore. Everyone thinks he's crazy. But he's got something planned. He comes up with the idea for the Iron Man. So then he's going to start and build the Mark II. So he goes again to build the Mark II.
Yeah, and I think that this is also where Jon Favreau, who is the director of this movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
I really like
good old Happy.
Good old Happy. I like what he did with this because, you've seen him as the playboy. He doesn't care, and then when he comes back, does he still have a little bit of that flair to him? Yes, and that's what makes him a really cool character. But you see that he's changed. He's like, no, I need to stop this. I need to fix what I've done. And you really start to see him become Iron Man. See him take that next step in his life. So and I really liked how they did that.
And then so you see the scenes where he's starting to build the suit, he's starting to test it out. They have, you know, the funny scenes where he slams into the car when he flies for the first time, and then when he's trying to fly for the first time. And
Marvel
so they
comedy.
they have that Marvel comedy where that started off here too. And then then we get the twist of the movie that Obadiah Stane is actually the bad guy, and he uses that paralysis thing, which I think is still really cool.
Yep. And one thing I liked about that was like you meet this character who's the head of this terrorist group, and you think he's the bad guy. And like through that movie I thought, like, I was like, oh, okay, this guy, you know, he's just your typical terrorist organization,
Throwaway bad guy.
Yeah, throwaway bad guy. And I liked that it was like, boop, no, it's not him. And I was like, yes, okay, so we got a little bit of a better villain, not one of the best villains in the Marvel universe, but not one of the worst either. And I really liked that. And also another little change that they did to this movie that I really enjoyed was Jarvis. I love that they made Jarvis this AI, because Tony Stark is a technical, logical guy, and
They updated the character.
Yeah, and Batman has the butler. Let Batman have the butler.
Alfred's iconic. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So give in the AI, which later on proves to be something, which I really like.
Yeah, it comes around much later, and we'll get to that when we get there. But to end off the movie, Obadiah Stane, he betrays Tony. He takes the arc reactor out of his chest, and then he leaves him for death. And luckily enough, Dummy, you know, who's been made fun of the whole movie, actually gives him the arc reactor, which is a nice, you know, feel-good scene. So he gets the old arc reactor. Rhodey comes and finds him, and he gets, you know, the suit. And then they have the big battle at the end, Ironmonger versus Iron Man. And Pepper turns on the thing. You know, they have their big fight. Pepper turns on the explosion thing. And Tony survives, and Obadiah Stane is definitely dead.
Definitely dead. Yep. No, he's gone.
I couldn't remember if he was dead or not, but after watching that again, no, he's totally dead. And so that was pretty much the okay. And after the fight, we get the reveal of Shield. Agent Coulson is there, so that's, you know, setting up for the universe as we go along. And then we end with the press conference. You want to talk about the press conference?
Yep, he's Batman. No, I'm just kidding. He says he's Iron Man. He comes out and says it. You know, it's a little different because like most superheroes, they try to keep their identity hidden. Nope, he's just flat out, I'm Iron Man.
Yeah, you get all these DC characters trying to hide their identities, and then he's like, nah, he's like, I am Iron Man.
I am Iron Man. Yep.
That's great. That's a great scene. And then we have the after credits scene, which I didn't know this existed until years later, that they got Samuel L. Jackson to come in and play Nick Fury. And they announced the Avenger Initiative. He said, I wanted to come to you and talk about the Avenger Initiative.
Yeah, I couldn't imagine. I remember seeing this in theaters, but it was like, it was out for like a couple weeks. And I didn't really, like I said, know what was going on. I couldn't imagine being the fan I am now and going into that theater and then seeing that end credit scene. I bet people lost their mind. Like, especially now, knowing what's come from this, that's a special moment, I think, in this MCU.
Yeah, like no one knew what an after credit scene was until Marvel. I mean, they've been, you know, there's iconic ones, Ferris Bueller and whatnot, but Marvel made the after credit scene like a thing. Like everyone knows now when you go see a Marvel movie, stay after the credits.
Yep. And one thing that this movie also did really well is you know, like some movies have that relationship, and one thing I think that this movie also did was they gave us a good relationship. Gwyneth Paltrow, who plays Pepper Potts, her and Tony's interaction is some of the realest interaction I've seen in a lot of movies, and I really buy into their relationship. And through this whole movie, you connect with them, and I think that also added a lot to the movie. While it had great action, good story, you had some good character development and building, and the scene at the ball, I think, was a good one.
Yeah. So again, we're getting into talking about the characters. So obviously, Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. They've built this entire universe.
Perfect casting.
They've built this entire universe around Robert Downey Jr. He was like, at the time, like, you know, he was known for, you know, like in the tabloids being like, you know, for drugs and whatnot. So no one was confident when he first got cast as Iron Man. No one knew he could do it. But man, that was like the perfect casting.
And now he's one of the highest paid actors in Hollywood. The man gets what he wants now. There's no doubt about that.
I mean, and he is Iron Man. He's fully embraced the character. He's probably the best casted character in all Marvel. So they did a really good job for that. So next thing I wanted to talk about was Terrence Howard. Now, I actually like Terrence Howard as Rhodey, as Colonel James Rhodes, but unfortunately for the universe, he ends up being recast later. So this is the only time we ever see him play the character. So what do you think of Terrence Howard's role in this?
Terrence Howard, yep. I thought, Rhodey, I like War Machine a little better. I just like his look and everything. And, I found out later that he was, going to be War Machine, but of course.
Yeah, but I like Terrence Howard. Don Cheadle's fine later when he replaces him. But, you like to see consistency throughout Marvel, which they do a pretty good job of after this and after Hulk, but...
Yeah, I think that that was one of those castings. Could it have been great? Could it have been? It could have, but Don Cheadle has done a wonderful job. I liked his character.
And we'll talk more about that later on and when we get to those movies. Then the next character was Jeff Bridges. He played Obadiah Stane, and a lot of people love Jeff Bridges. He did I can't remember the name of the movie now. The Big Lebowski.
The Big Lebowski, yes.
Yeah, he was in The Big Lebowski. So he's known for that, and people just find him hilarious too. So I actually forgot he was in this movie. And as you mentioned, Gwyneth Paltrow.
Yeah, they're both great. Like I said, Jeff Bridges, like I said, he's not one of the overall best Marvel villains, but I like that. He played that character like, Tony, man, you're like a son to me.
He had that voice, Tony.
He built in a cave, like.
Yeah.
He was a great character, but I like that secretly. He was like, I'm making a lot of money. I want this power. I like what's going on. I'm not gonna lose this. And he's like, listen, I'm gonna screw over who I need to. And it turns out that it was him all along. And it's just like man, that's a guy he trusted. That's a guy he cared about. And now he's in a death battle with one of his all-time father figures, I would say, almost.
Yeah, he was a villain that worked, I'd say. He was not the greatest villain, but this was more about introducing Iron Man than, another great villain. Because, again, he dies at the end of the movie. So, and then you already mentioned Jarvis and how Jarvis was great. They turned him into an AI character, which he becomes something else later, which is cool. And then last thing I wanted to touch upon was Easter eggs. So, Easter eggs is... Obadiah Stane mentions early on that him and Tony are ironmongers, and that's the name of his villain, which I actually have never caught before, so I thought that was kind of cool.
That was, yep.
And then there's actually Captain America's shield is actually in the background,
which I did not know about, and we rewatched it, and it was there. Did not know that though.
Yeah, it's in the scene where Pepper, like when he's first trying to get the suit off for the first time, and Pepper walks in on him and he makes a joke, you've walked in on me doing worse things, but there's this when he's trying to get, there's like a piece of the cap shield in the background behind him, which was a cool Easter egg that I remember everyone was like going crazy about. They're like, oh, Captain America's gonna be in it, it's gonna be great. And then the last one, as in every Marvel movie, we had the Stan Lee cameo, and this one might be one of his best ones because he got to be Hugh Hefner.
Got to be the rest in peace Hugh Hefner, but he got to play that Playboy, and
which must have been fun for him,
and which also I think secretly references Tony Stark. He's a Playboy too. It's like I really liked his cameo. I don't think Stan Lee could really ever have a bad cameo. Whenever you see that man on screen, it's just like thank you. And this movie, it was a great send off for the it was a great startup for the MCU. It was
if this movie didn't do too well, who knows where the MCU would be at right now?
Yeah, who knows where we would be with, and especially what would it be like if Robert Downey Jr. wasn't cast as Iron Man? What kind of Iron Man would we have now? What would he be?
Would the MCU still even be a thing?
Would it be a thing? Would Iron Man be one of the big faces of Marvel today?
So let's go into our review. So again, if you want to go run through our reviews.
Okay, so with our reviews, we have Sorta Okay, which is just the middle C grade. Then we have Sorta Bad, which is D, and then Sorta Awful, which is F. Then we have Sorta Good, which is a B rating, Sorta Spectacular, which is A, and then Sorta Perfect, which is top notch, buy it on Blu-ray, get
A+.
the posters, the whole shebang.
Yeah.
And Brad, what would you give Iron Man after all this time?
After all this time, it's still a great start. It's sort of spectacular. I mean, it started off the MCU. I think it still holds up to this day. It started a lot of the tropes that we see in Marvel movies, the comedy, the technology we still see today. So yeah, I'd give it sort of spectacular. Give it an A.
Yep, I'm gonna give it a sort of spectacular review too. Because I mean, we'll get into it later on, but the franchise doesn't keep the momentum. But this start was just solid. It was funny. It was fun. Had some good action, and it was just a good. It was a good origin story for Iron Man. I think it was like
Who no one knew at the time.
Yeah, no, I think comic book fans and movie fans and the new MCU fans all can find something good about this movie, and I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad that we have Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, and I got excited for everything he's done so far.
Yeah, and as of right now, since this is the first Marvel movie we're ranking, it's obviously by itself right now, so we just have Iron Man there. But next time when we do the Incredible Hulk's next, we will rate that. So once we get there, we'll start ranking the movies at the end as well, and in our order of best to worst.
Yep. So that was our first review of the Road to Infinity War. We hope you enjoyed it. Join us back, because we're going to do all the Marvel movies, and we're going to have fun with it. We're just going to sit here and talk with you about the old MC movies. We hope you relive it with us. We love these Marvel movies, and we can't wait for Infinity War. And we're glad you joined us, and we hope you like, comment, and subscribe. All right, well, thank you for joining us today. We hope you have a great day. Bye.